Good crypto morning to you, JP. How's everything going this week?
Good crypto morning, Brandy. Everything's trying to happen all at once. What can we say? We're rolling with it.
No. Yeah, we do. I love it. I love the hurdles. I always start my day with a fresh cup of coffee. You know why? Because I enjoy the taste. And plus, it's always a great crypto morning, anytime of the day, evening, or afternoon. I really look at what's going on in the world of crypto. And one thing that I love the most is sure is entertaining.
The volatility will keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
It'll
I
never
mean,
be a boring day.
it's emotional. It hurts my feeling box sometimes when I only think of, oh gosh, I really need to transact and maybe this isn't the right time of transacting. Once we remove that out of the equation and it's fully focused on the utility power of blockchain, my gosh, I am super excited. And there's tons of stuff on the agenda. Do you mind if I share my screen and we'll kick off the
Well, let's
show?
do it. Yes, it is
Let's
a
do
big
it.
stove.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we got some fun
We'll
stuff.
have the chapters so people can, our viewers, you can just jump to where you want or stick with us for the ride. It's going to be a big one.
This is the Good Crypto Morning Show. We love to have you. Thank you for spending some time with us. At a quick glance before we jump into the agenda, I just want to address some of the market snapshot where we're at today. This is more like why eye view of the market, and Bitcoin is stabilizing. I'm almost expecting that we're going to have a bit of momentum, or this is stabilizing. What's your thoughts?
I believe the market is waiting for the SEC results with spot ETF applications. We're going to see some consolidation and then it's a big jump up.
Big jump up. I'm expecting a move up no matter what over time. No matter what, I just see this engulfing the markets. The price action is maturing. And this is a fun fact that I like. When you look back at 2017 and you look at the market conditions from there, everybody was like, this is speculative. It was a frenzy. But today we don't see any evidence of a bubble. Sure. When you look at a bull versus a bear market in that one period, yeah, that looks like a bubble. But when you zoom out and you look at the chart, it's going upward trajectory. It's constantly growing and engulfing new services that were legacy, now focused in the modern era of what we call Web3. I love it. It's not just Bitcoin, it's Web3. We love all crypto. And when it comes to market caps right now, the one thing that's getting attention is Bitcoin. It's almost gobbling up everything when it comes to
All the
altcoin
oxygen.
markets. Yeah, all the ARK. There are really good Web3 projects out there that are totally focused on utility power, and they are being punished, JP. I'm not sure about you, but this seems a little unfair.
Humans only have so much attention. You talked about last week, Larry Fink thanking his team. Outside of Larry Fink thanking his team, the media, outside sources are only going to tend to focus on Larry Fink,
True.
like a superstar. One superstar on the stage, an entire crew of people making everything happen so the superstar looks super.
Yeah.
Those people don't get the kind of public thing. This is a tragedy of the human experience.
And I'm looking for that maturity in a space where there's a bit of decoupling going on. Everybody talks about decoupling with Bitcoin against the stock market. That's just one area of decoupling that matters from a market maker's perspective, but important for me in regards to the impact of Web3 and the future of it. There needs to be a bit of decoupling that's going on there as well. So that way, when you have good projects, they're not getting impacted by bad actors in the network, which we're seeing in trading volume, by the way. When I look at trading volume, holy Toledo, things sure are coiling up. It seems to me that we have a big move on the horizon. I'm talking like, I don't know, within the next couple months, when we look back, we're going to see that move. Right now, it's like a matter of when. I'm like waiting anytime now. Come on, something's going to happen. This is a bit of a squeeze. But enough of that. Let's talk about the roundup, JP. We have ETHCC happening. We're going to take a moment to chat about that. We got ChatGPT regulations at focus, UAE and Bitcoin, Cathie Wood's ARK, which is first in line for that spot ETF. The decision there is
Imagine
going
if
to
they
be,
beat out BlackRock.
and that's the testament here. BlackRock is so impactful. We talked about this in previous episodes. Certainly a signal of confidence in the space in regards to maturity, but that doesn't mean that they're the only player in town. And right now, Cathie Wood's ARK is first up. So I can't wait. We're going to break down that timeline. We're going to go into what to expect with
I
it.
love this breakdown you made.
Thank you so much. And you as well. We have some more stuff coming up after we get
Yes,
into
Bipartisan Crypto Regulation Bill. So we're going to
talk.
get into that. We have a story on BIS slamming crypto and the
Yep.
market. So take a look at that. K33 put out a report on what's going on with capital funding. And you found a tangential report that really happily goes along with what K33 showed.
Isn't it ironic how all these things merge together?
Yeah.
So ironic. And then we have Tim Draper going out there saying, hey, that Bitcoin is still powerful. Things are still in play. And then just a brief update on Metamask. There are over 280 speakers happening at ETHCC. If you are a product leader, Web 2, Web 3 curious, this is a great event to learn, get educated about the industry, learn more about how you could be impactful, taking the latest trends in technology. Today, all the focus is on AI, but blockchain is still very much there waiting to converge both with the innovations that are occurring in the Web 2 space and the Web 3 space. So this is really a hybrid focus. And this is how we're going to maximize our opportunities, no matter what the market conditions are. Check this out. A lot of free resources come out from ETHCC. This is one of the top events all year long. Developers, product leaders, founders are all eyeing what's happening here on July 17th to the 20th in Paris. That means streaming events, folks. It's a really cool community opportunity. So learn more at ecc.io. Once again, that's ecc.io. What's your thoughts? What do you think about ECC in Paris?
I think this is going to be a great opportunity to perhaps do a live stream and a lot of short, keep our viewers up to date on what's going on.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait. All right. ChatGPT chief says AI should be regulated by a US or global agency. Is there a surprise here, JP?
Was surprised by the news given how long it took for talks about crypto regulation, but AI is different than crypto. And I think that maybe this is not such a bad idea. Are we going to trust the companies to do the right thing? Now, my opinion is that maybe rather than a solely United States body, we should incorporate many voices. AI is going to be as much as Web 2, world of Web 1, the world of the industrial, the computer revolution affected the world. AI is going to take that to a whole nother level. So let's get a lot of voices in the mix.
Right. I get that. But, the big problem area, I'm going to call it out again. This is the purpose and why I love blockchain technologies in general. It doesn't matter like what the platform is. Blockchain technology in itself solves the issues that arise out of new innovative classes like artificial intelligence. This sector alone needs to be regulated, yes, but how do you control it with confidence? Are we going to still maintain the same level of base as we traditionally have with behind closed door activities regulating something that's as innovative as artificial intelligence? And most certainly the risk that's right in front of the AI is going to outpace us in regards to intelligence. How are we going to control this thing? I think people are not talking enough about the convergence of blockchain solving that problem. I would love for folks to just start innovating a little bit more and start participating in the sandbox of regulation with blockchain and AI, also with genomics, all the other innovations that are occurring. Blockchain is right there to help maintain a ledger of activity to give all of us confidence, no matter if you're a small time retail user, investor, or if you're a big player, we all should be treated the same.
So there's a point in here in how fast technology is going to move and will regulators be able to keep up with it? So I like the idea of having an oversight committee. We need to think about regulation and oversight in new ways. We've seen this with social media since around 2010, 2011, 2012, and the effects that these technologies are having on society. AI, as I said, is going to take us to another level. We need to think about how are we going to oversight this to protect our societies and protect as many people as possible. And I'm not confident that we currently have those tools. We need more makers, right? We're all consumers, but we need more makers of technology. And this is something I've been talking to my son about. They're talking about Do you want to spend your time being a consumer? Do you want to be this poor version of SpongeBob? Is this who you want to be? Or do you want to be the maker who is like creating products and then earning rewards as a result of your hard work and your creative labor? And he said, for his credit, he said, "Hey, actually, I want to be option B." Okay, you want to be the creator. I'm going to teach you how to do this.
I
So
love that.
yeah.
I love that. Good. I mean, and this is a testament to us right now. Like we're seasoned professionals. There's many ways that we can have earning capacities, but here we are focused on areas of content creation. AI is going to impact all our lives. All these innovations are going to impact our lives.
Mhm.
But more specifically, AI is just not going to have the creative superpower as humans do when it comes down to creating content that humans like. Now, AI can create content, it could be dreamy, but humans want content from humans. I just don't see a world like I can imagine AI creating its own television channel. It will be popular at first, but then humans, I think, will gravitate towards other humans' creations versus AI. It's not going to take over everything. And I think there is a real fear there. It's really about being willing to pivot. And I think we just all need to take a step back, look at this tool, and then ask yourself, how can you use this tool to better humans? Because after all, these tools, that's what they're for, right? Without AI, AI wouldn't be here without humans. But we do need, I have fear that if we just leave it to a small group of regulators, that their best interest is not for the everyday person, the
Mhm.
global citizen. And that's my fear.
Let's go to the next story. So UAE, we know, has been crypto friendly. I was there last year and they're all about cryptography and Bitcoin decentralization. It's a very interesting mix given the culture. But there's a big story here brewing with UAE having 3.7% of global Bitcoin mining activity.
And it's not just mining activity, JP. Their investments in tech, it's vast. They see a lot of opportunity in this space. Petroleum is not the gold anymore. They're like tech.
Right. Oil was the play, oil and plastics in the 20th century. And now we're going to be technology, decentralization. Bitcoin is going to be the play. Look at for the volatile markets. That's where the innovation is. People tend to say that volatility is bad. No, that's where the innovation is. That's where you want to be. You want to be in the volatile theme. Take your bruises, take your lumps, and get your wins.
Right? Let's say the ARK Bitcoin ETF timeline for the SEC. I think this is a good time. We have so much in regards to cause and effect in the industry. What I want to do is just break down quickly, like the SEC and what this means. I think a lot of folks get hyped up. The market sure sees it. There's this old saying, buy the rumor, sell the news. I think a lot of that's going on here. And if anything, that's the theme that I wanted to project here with this is that there's going to be a lot of rumors and there's going to be a lot of selling the news. And so we have some key dates. And I thought this is super important for folks because it's all about ETF all over. I've heard this before in previous cycles, going all the way back to 2014. It's a bit of a disappointment at times because you're like, this is a no brainer. Just approve this thing. Nonetheless, for Cathie ARK Bitcoin ETF, which is first in line, they filed on April 25th. So on April 25th, that's the first phase. It's just filing a world change to approve Bitcoin ETF in the market. Then June 29th, that's the 45-day mark that they have. They have 45 days to conclude, and June 29th is their target. They extended it. And now the next key date we're at with the ETF is August 13th. That's not that long away. We're talking a month away from now.
Right.
We can expect that there's going to be more rumors around. I'm expecting some turbulence in the market. Considering that the SEC can potentially delay 240 days, it makes me think, my gosh, the past performance, SEC's most likely going to delay this.
So I think our expectations should be they're going to delay August 13th. Approving an ETF is going to create a bunch of volatility in the market and maybe shoot up inflation again. They're going to delay. That's going to be their game.
And that's what I'm cautioning our viewers too. Is like
Exactly.
expect delays. All right. This
Right.
is not a straight binary circumstance. They're going to approve and deny. No, they're going to look at everything. There's so many variables here. They said it multiple times. BlackRock came in. That's invoking some confidence, but that doesn't mean that they're going to improve everything. There's still a large basket of pending applications that need approval or rejection. And Cathie ARK, hers is the next up. For me, my eyes are really looking towards what's going to happen, but I'm expecting an extension for sure.
So just help me understand. BlackRock was denied, right? And this is why ARK is up next.
No, I don't believe so. Their BlackRock filed later than Cathie would.
They filed
So
later. I
they
just
filed
assumed
later.
that my assumption was that BlackRock had filed first. Okay. This is
Yeah.
very
And that's why I wanted to bring this up to us today, was to get all of us on the same page. Because if you're wondering about that, I'm wondering about that. I'm sure the viewers out there
sharers
now.
are. I guess it's interesting that BlackRock made such a big splash, and when Cathie filed in April 25th, that didn't make as much news. Maybe because she is crypto friendly.
Yeah, she was crypto friendly from the start. All of
Right.
her investments, her strategies, her market research, she just puts it out there for
Well,
everybody.
like Cathie, so I heard this straight from her mouth in Tampa a couple years ago in 21, that she was not necessarily friendly to crypto from the very beginning. It was people in her staff, there you go, the team again,
Yeah,
who were into cryptography, decentralization, were into the Bitcoin, and they kept talking about it. And she was open to hearing about what that could mean. And it was her staff who turned her on to Bitcoin and crypto.
she
There
got
you go
lucky.
again. Yes, the people that you bring to your team are
Yeah,
very important.
it's super interesting because I was involved in Google early on, and it was so interesting to me that how many folks in that time period just did not understand Bitcoin. I'm like, you guys are world class here. What is going on? Why don't you know about this thing? I was educating all the various engineers and product leaders, and still they just didn't get it. It's interesting. Let me go ahead and share some of these key dates for what this means moving forward. So there's basically six core phases to this. The first phase is all about filing with the SEC. And then the next, they have 45 days to approve or deny. Typically, they go ahead and extend. They just didn't have enough time. 45 days was enough for them. So they typically extend on the initial review of with phase
Mm.
two. So then phase three comes to existence. So we have so much more here in regards to timing for those 240 days. Anytime that you hear about ETF news, you got a rumor going out there. It's really good to dig into some of the core fundamentals in regards to the filing process. So that way you can go ahead and come up with a confidence interval on, is this worth looking at in regards to like the way that you're perceiving market conditions. And right now, basically the call out here to the community is pay attention. These filing dates are definitely going to affect marketing conditions. Each date that's being extended becomes another key date for potential decision. I believe it's too soon. I believe they're extended. There's more to come. The
Mhm.
SEC has all their filings. It's publicly available to folks.
So how's
And
it got you feeling?
this is how I feel. Seriously, JP, this is perfect. When you're waiting for a Bitcoin ETF, but the SEC delays it. Seriously,
You think the SEC will give us a Christmas gift?
I don't know. I don't know. I do want
They're
to
going
be
to be like that meme, the SEC, be Santa Claus, don't be the Grinch.
and just thinking about that, being prepared for a potential extension. I just want folks to think about current market conditions from a global geopolitical standpoint. We have recessionary times. They don't want to say it, but when it comes down to monetary surplus, we can also say that it's receding, right? It is monetary supply is tightening. That's causing effect to markets. They're trying to control inflation. In the United States, we had a recent report where inflation's actually showing some that is being tamed, which is good news. The problem is that people are being blindsided, and now you have stock market going up. Right now, I've seen the markets were in a positive trajectory, even in
Yep.
crypto market cap and all altcoins, Bitcoin, everything is being moved up right now. Uncautious during this period because I'm looking at this going August 13th, most likely going to get extended. I'm looking at the fact that they're taming inflation. All the efforts is to tame inflation. If everybody is spending money right now, they have Amazon Prime Day showed more fruitful than they anticipated. They curb inflation. They want inflation to be tamed. Just because we had one good report doesn't mean they're going to stop their initiative. So I'm afraid that we have volatility ahead of us. And I'm
Right.
afraid that the SEC is going to be utilizing these filings and the extensions as a means to work with the Fed to continue to manipulate markets as they deem fit, which isn't going to work now, but there is a future where that just won't work anymore. And that's what I love about Bitcoin.
Those days of centralized control are numbered
They are.
days, but numbered nonetheless.
Yeah. And you have some interesting stories that correlate directly with this with Loomis. Do you want to segue to that?
Exactly. Yeah. So Lummis, Republican from Wyoming, and Gillibrand, Democrat from New York, have been working together to introduce a new crypto regulation bill. This is quite exciting. The bill is complex. There's a lot to dig into. As part of this new bill that they presented, Lummis and Gillibrand, the CFTC, not the SEC, will have oversight over crypto assets. That'll include the spot markets, spot ETF markets that we just talked about being a proposal, and centralized digital exchanges. Think FTX is probably the most popular and at this point we could say notorious centralized digital exchange. Not your keys, not your cryptos. You learn the hard way if you're an FTX. Path to
Preach it, brother.
commoditization. So the path to commoditization, we've had this debate raging over, is crypto a security or are they securities? Are they commodities? Some have better cases than others as to being a commodity over a security. Some definitely look like securities. Definitely the rug pulls are unregistered securities. Their path is to say if it doesn't involve debt, equity, or financial interest in a company, then it's a commodity. So we finally get a definition that the SEC has been telling us that we have, but we don't. And so here you go. Crypto assets will be placed under the jurisdiction of commodities law rather than securities law. A big change. And it would require any digital asset to have a biannual SEC disclosure. Okay, so we're going to finally get disclosures. And I think that is a move towards transparency, even outside of the blockchain itself. Stablecoin registration rules. You're going to, any stablecoin would be required to either have a federal registration if they want to operate within the United States, or they will be required to have federal supervision over a state charter. For example, you can imagine a future where the state of Wyoming may want to issue a Wyoming stablecoin. That charter would still be required to have federal supervision. And any stablecoin would be required to maintain high quality liquid assets. And here I love they use this term, proof of reserves. So we're going to have some kind of proof in here.
I love that. So we are going to get transparency, huh?
We're going to get transparency. And like right now, there's a question over, hey, does Tether have the assets that they claim to have? Or is it a financial trick with Binance? You don't know. We all just pretend that it is legit, but it's good for the market.
Let's just keep going there and believe them.
Right. Okay. Any unbacked algorithmic stable coins will not be able to call themselves a stable coin. They're not a stable coin, it's not backed by anything, but they won't be banned. A very generous compromise. Opinion.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Quick question on that. So I'm just wondering, not a stable coin, but not banned. That's like an oxymoron of a statement if I saw one. I'm just
Well, let's
wondering.
use the term stable coin. And maybe in my bullet, I didn't
But what if the
make
stablecoin
that
already exists? Is it grandfathered in?
with, I don't, I didn't see that. I think from what I saw, it's not going to be grandfathered. It would just no longer be able to call themselves a stablecoin. It would probably need to say unbacked algorithmic coin.
Interesting. I do wonder, what about all the past efforts, years and years of ecosystems investing in different ways to offer stability through
Mhm.
stablecoin? It just seems to me that they would end up allowing a means for these folks to go ahead and grandfather them in. Because how can do you really expect the whole, existing ecosystem to just change immediately? What's the guidance here when it comes down to global services. There's jurisdiction problems as well. We're talking regions that have different varying laws.
This bill's going to be this, assuming it was passed into law, it would have jurisdiction over the boundaries of the United States. Other jurisdictions outside of the United States are going to do what they will. So this is really to stablecoins that want to be registered in America or want to operate within America. You want to have an American office, then these would be the rules that they would have to abide by.
Interesting. Very interesting. What do you think, JP, in regards to what I was showcasing earlier about ETF filing with a spot? It seems like SEC, they wouldn't be ones to dictate approval or not if this was go into effect.
Yeah, this would go into CFTC. So this would be CFTC's jurisdiction.
So what will happen with, let's just say we have a basket of 100 applications, all geared towards Web3, Bitcoin, legacy crypto products, modern crypto products, however you want to call them. Let's say we have 100 current applications at SEC. The CFTC is to go into effect tomorrow. What happens
Right.
to other applications? What can we expect?
Yeah, hard to say. And I didn't get any guidance on that from what I saw. Just thinking about it, again, we might have a grandfather situation, or it just immediately goes over to the CFTC, which you can imagine the SEC would not like. They wouldn't appreciate that. I can imagine that the SEC is not too hot about this bill.
No, I also think that we just need Congress to come together and dictate very clear and rigorous
Yeah,
guidelines.
in this administration, in this environment, it's hard
No,
to imagine that. Honestly, like, when is that going to happen?
I don't know.
So this bill, furthermore, this would have been appropriate. They do throw a bone out to the SEC, but the SEC want to be able to use these funds for enforcement. So it's almost like a slap against there. Hey, you have been using this bully stick a bit too much, a bit too liberally. And if you want some money, it's not going to be used for enforcement. The TFTC would be required to charter a crypto self-regulatory organization. And then they also provide 150 million over 5 years to the FTC for consumer education and digital asset enforcement. And Brandy, wouldn't it be nice to get some of that sweet cash for our consumer education that we're already providing to you?
Free of charge, 150 million. I think this is really going to go into effect. Some of the past things we talked about, the ISO compliance and the standardizations that occur in the IT space globally, no matter what type of technology you're working with, when it
Right.
comes to disruptive innovations in enterprise environments and governments alike, they like to depend on standards because standards is how you build predictability and you could keep an ecosystem flourishing, right? And so I value these standards. And we have things like the ISO compliance for the way that we look at metadata with transactions. I just don't, it baffles me why people don't really focus more on this. Is like, this is going to come. This isn't an if, it's just a matter of when they're going to force it.
Right.
Things like this, where we have the great battle between the SEC, CFTC, FTC, whoever is a regulator being in charge, they're having some difficulties right now. And they're going to want to standardize the environment so they can be on the same page. Because right now they're all conflicting with one another. Even right now, like how can we depend on anything coming out of these departments
Right.
when they're not even unified themselves? Right? Point.
Exactly.
They need unity, and it's potentially going to come through things like metadata and these transactions and having compliance. And then that sets the path. And Congress, I really believe that they're the ones going to have to jump into this because it's not going to get resolved if we
Right.
depend on these entities that are not doing well talking with each other.
Yeah. And honestly, the way that these entities have been behaving, it's not good for them. It just makes a mockery of them and their organizations and what they're meant to be doing. So I imagine this is a bill that the SEC is not going to be excited about, but honestly, it would give them credibility again. At least that rules and standards, as you say, for what is allowed, what is not allowed, people would have more confidence, and we would have more confidence in our status and our centralized organizations as a result. It would be a good thing for everyone.
It would be a good thing for everybody. I still think, and I'm totally speculating here, I still think that a lot of this stuff that they're talking about These are signals that they've already
Mhm.
thought about and they're playing us. I really think we're being played. I do. I think that this is all in efforts to utilize a toolbox to control economic measures, both globally with its partners, because there's partnerships there
Right.
in the United and like in the United States. I think that they already know what they want to do. They know that they can't shut this down. That what they're doing is trying to hold the system back because it's a means to also frivolous market conditions that show a good period of prosperity, like the roaring 20s. We haven't seen a roaring 20. I wouldn't call what we went through as a pandemic with all the money printing the roaring 20s. I call that a recovery effort to get by during difficult times. It was
Right.
reactionary. But we do have a bit of, yeah, are totally artificial, totally. Where would the markets be today if we weren't being controlled by the Fed, their monetary policies? They're the ultimate market manipulator. The real
Mhm.
value of the marketplace has not been seen because of being manipulated by a controlling organization. We don't even know what the real value is of these markets and innovation that lies within them because they're being held back. That's not fair. That's not just. But
Right.
the problem is that it's the understanding that they are utilizing a toolbox. And Jerome Powell from the Fed specifically said they go to their toolbox often. And just by him saying that, come on, people, come on. They're only going to use things like we talked about SEC filing. This is the battle between CFTC and the SEC. They're going to utilize these things as a way to hold back the ecosystem to cause a bit of drama on purpose because they need the tool in their toolbox. We've had a rate of inflation. We want to tame it. Let's go ahead and suppress the economy, show that we're in control. There's a political year ahead of us. That
Right.
means we're going to get interesting. How would they utilize this? It's all about the recovery. Once when we show that things have depressed, we need job report, right? That
Yep.
job report, like that is super crucial. What's going to happen in the next 6 months? It takes time for policies to take effect. Just because money has been put out or rules have been changed, it takes typically 6 months to a year before we start seeing the effects in the market. Some of these things can happen a lot faster. The point, though, being JP, what I'm trying to get across here is that it's foolish not to think that one, the Fed, they're doing a lot of this on purpose because they know once when everything gets tokenized and this becomes a mainstream adoption for controlling technologies like AI and so forth, that it's going to be trillions and trillions. Like you mentioned in a previous episode, trillions of dollars, a tsunami is coming in. They
Yeah.
know. So what a great tool in the toolbox to bring back confidence in a marketplace that might be suffering. And right now, I don't think there is enough suffering. I think we can expect that. And then we'll get their approval. And then we start getting clarity and rules. And now we see a flourishing system. And in the back end, what's happening? The whole monetary system has been converted digitally. I almost think this is that we are going through a roadmap of a playbook that's been defined years ago.
And it may be so. The trouble with this roadmap is that they're not the only players. America's not the only player in this game because this is global. And so the longer these bodies hold back, it gives other nations the opportunity to excel. And I'm all for crypto acceleration, but this is going to come if they do play these games so long, this is going to come at the detriment of the United States. So they're going to hold back this innovation, and the innovators, the builders, are going to go where the environment is friendly. This is going to become a talent drain, leaving the borders of the United States and going to other nations that are crypto friendly and have got their regulations in order.
It's interesting. It's the United States is definitely driving the ship right now when it comes to market conditions. We know that they can't be in the driver's seat for long. The shift is going to change. There's shift changes. And when I'm talking about shift changes, we have China. They're going to take control of the driver's seat for a minute. Oh, then Latin America, again, taking over driver's seat. Oh, India, driver's seat. This is one thing that I love the most about crypto is that, sure, you can have a country corrupt the system, but they only could do it for so long. It's only a matter of
Right.
time, right? There's so many
Right.
influencers in the global space. They're looking for the piece of the pie. And what an opportunity. We have the IMF change course, working with various banking organizations. I think you have more to talk about on this one.
There
So
is more. This is a
yeah,
huge bill. It's massive. We are nearing the end, but imagine all the conversations that we're having just by going through this bill. There's so much to think about. Not too long ago, if you recall, there was a bit of a scare when the government was shutting down prenatal cash. There was concerns that developers could go to jail just for building technological products who don't necessarily have control over how users use those products. And so this bill would protect developers, crypto developers, and network participants. It redefines what is thought of as a broker so that if you're a developer and you build and you launch a smart contract, it doesn't make you a broker. You're not expected to be someone's financial assistant, advisor, just because you built some piece of technology. So we're getting a smarter definition. I know it's crazy. It's insane. Again, another play to try to scare developers out of the decentralized ecosystem and to stop building products that would further this industry.
it just makes me sick sometimes, the bureaucracies that goes on and how it affects people. It's like you have definite lines between the wealthy, the not so wealthy, and the poor. And all they're doing a lot of times is they're hurting the folks in the poor and the middle class. This is damage. Like the wealthy, they can just buy themselves out of any situation, not us. This literally is life changing opportunities. And I just don't think that they're thinking about the everyday person a lot of
Yep.
times when it comes down to this. It's sad. It really is sad what's going on with the regulators. They need to step up their game,
Yeah.
step it up, and start showing that you're fighting for the people and give clarity. Good golly, if you're going to educate
Right.
with clarity, like this stuff is confusing.
Let's remember we're a government for the people, by the people. Let's get back to that.
Please. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So here's our conclusion. This was a sweeping bill. It covers many Senate committee jurisdiction, which is going to be a challenge because the more committees you involve, the more hands you have to feed, the more mouths you got to make happy. And this bill is seen as too friendly by to the crypto industry by this current administration. So my expectation is that this bill is going to die. We may see parts of this bill in future bills, but chances are something that's as friendly as what we have today is not going to be the first crypto bill that passes.
I just want to ask this. Hasn't this
Mhm.
been the bill been delivered before and presented for passing the Loomis specifically? I thought
Well,
I've heard about
yep,
this a few
there
years.
was a previous one. We have this one that was presented yesterday.
Wow. All right.
This
So
is
this is an iteration
breaking
on
news. Here we go. Where's our breaking news?
very cool. Very cool. But we're still expecting the same good old games to be played. It's going to
Yes.
die. It's
Yep.
going to show that there's awareness, politics. I'm really loving this political year ahead of us in the United States because it's the first time that I know for a fact crypto is going to be part of the election process.
It
I
will
know it.
be. Yeah.
This is
So
right.
recently interviewed Kennedy, right? Kennedy
Yep.
Jr., who wants to make a bid. But
I
that's
love that.
really quite the upset. It's interesting. So yeah, crypto is going to be a play. And this also shows, in fact, this was a bipartisan bill. It shows the change. I was looking for a graphic for this and I could not find one. It's driving me crazy, but this shift from red versus blue, Republican versus Democrat, conservative versus liberal, you get it, to the shift of orange versus green, which is the crypto decentralization versus centralized fiat. And we're going to start seeing what I call strange bedfellows. We're going to see these. It's not going to be like all the Republicans are going to go over to crypto or all the Democrats are going to go over to crypto or stay in fiat. That's not how this is going to work. This is going to be person by person, state by state. Some entities are going to be more friendly to the idea of decentralization and more transparency than others. And people are going to need to start to rethink how they align themselves and have a more open mind. Think critically about the issues that are on the table and what is going to benefit you as an individual and your community and your neighborhood.
No, I just want to jump in here and
Yeah.
say, don't forget about the innovations that already occur. the transformation between horse and carriage, automobiles, the transformation of network communication, the telephone, to the internet, then the smartphone. These are pivotal time periods where the everyday person was still confused. They didn't feel they had fair access to that technology. It got adopted, more efficient and refined. It became accessible. It was adopted. It takes a bit of time to go through these ebbs and flows
Right.
of adoption cycles. The big difference here is we're talking about digitizing everything. We
Yeah.
knew this before in the .com. We talked about it. That was a big thing. Hey, invest in pets.com. It has value because it could be transformative. Also wasn't a domain name. There was nothing there. But now in today's world, when we're talking about real platforms, these have real impact. Amazon globally, Prime Day, this is a big deal. It's about
Oh, yeah.
as big, if not bigger than what used to be known as Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. I don't
Right.
want to go stand in line for 12 hours to get a deal. I'll just buy it from Amazon, all right, have it delivered. Everything is going digital. We know it. The newspaper being delivered to your door, just not a big thing anymore. The magazine being delivered, again, not a big thing. I actually, on purpose, try to find printed material because it's a bit of a break. But the truth is I don't see us going back. I
You
see
remember
digital.
the magazines on CD? You
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that time? Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was fun.
Super fun. I used to actually base my decision on if it included a Linux distro or not.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I would love it. I was playing with Linux Sandbox since version 2.0. And the real thing that got me so addicted was obviously gaming, but the idea of design with computers coming from green screen and to see color. Whoa, that's just
Right.
so amazing. It blew my
That's
mind.
dynamic.
I couldn't wait until we can have a photograph be represented on the screen. And then here we are today. And it's
Right.
just, it's clear to me. This is such an impact in regards to the governments know it. Anybody of any wealth generational capacity, they know it. We're in for a ride. So you
Right, and
have
the
to want
trick is
more.
to build something so much better that it just makes whatever currently exists obsolete. So you don't even have to fight it. It's just, this is better. You're gonna have your whole cycle of the adopters, but keep building.
Build to improve quality of life, like
Right.
build to do the good things. That's what we need more of. It means to me how much time and energy is done on hacks that are bad, right?
Mm,
They're
mhm.
hacking for evil, not good. And it's wow, if there's so much reward for doing good in the space, generally Web 2, Web 3, like Web 2 is not immune. There's so many scams in Web 2. Just sit there and we just focus on crypto, but really a lot of scams happening in Web 2. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
so
there.
speaking, I guess the Bank of International Settlement recently had a report that they put out talking about crypto and really slamming the decentralized vision in crypto, saying that it doesn't live up to the current vision of what we were promised. This is this is not the jetpack that I was promised. We were promised the jetpacks, and what did we get instead? I don't know, a electric scooter. Yeah.
I don't know. It's like the tax deductions that they give us. They raise the taxes, they put it back to the previous thing. Look, we gave you a tax deduction. You're like,
All
no,
right.
it's more the same.
Now
You're just playing
we
games.
see through these games now.
Yeah.
So the technology, they say the technology works to the credit of blockchain. However, it can be replicated in traditional finance. They say that what we currently have is similar to centralized systems, but not as good. We've heard this expression being a Web3. It's like Web2, but not as good. It's slower. It's more expensive. These are the criticisms. Now, you're not the product in Web3, which is I'll pay the gas fees just to not be the product. They say DeFi is self-referential. It copies traditional finance, but it amplifies the risk. This goes back to what we read from BlackRock talking about making investments in crypto safer for their investors, right? So that they're trying to create these ETFs and spot ETFs to reduce that risk. And currently, crypto fails to finance activity in the real economy, going back to being self-referential. It is just replicating what we currently have. And we're not seeing the word that we always say is, say it with me, utility. We're not seeing that utility.
I
Yeah.
want to jump in real quick. In Google, all you have to do is type in BIS which IMF stands for the International Monetary Fund. And we could see right here from the top, we were comparing earlier
Oh, yeah.
JP results because they're custom by the profile. But nonetheless, I'm confident that you, the viewer, you could check this out too. Like, definitely research the relationship between the BIS and IMF. It's
Right.
clearly there for over 5 years.
And the World Bank in there as well.
On June 26, 2023, the central idea connecting IMF and BIS reports on tokenizing CDBCs is the existence of some single or unified ledger. They, they're already talking about, they already admitted that they're wrong about tokenization. The IMF and BIS are working together.
Right.
Yet, when it comes down to the reports we're hearing, they don't like it. They don't like it. This reminds me of like Jamie Dimon. Oh, it's junk. And in the
Yeah,
background, they're investing and building it. Like, what? Come on, quit
exactly.
playing games.
These are the next round of shitcoins that we'll have to deal with.
Stop it.
Here's the quotes
Okay.
that I pulled out of here that were interesting. So BIS representatives say crypto and DeFi pose substantial risks to, especially retail investors, and its inherent structural flaws make it unsuitable to play a constructive role in the monetary system. So we're saying, hey, cryptography, decentralized blockchains, the DLT, decentralized ledger technologies, are going to be the next phase of the monetary system. And they're saying, puha, this is not relevant. They say the claims on real world assets allow traditional finance and crypto to work together. And this could result in the growth of crypto as new money is channeled into tokenized asset. And yeah, we do see this. And then this next quote is really interesting. I like to bring this up. Now, hardliners who have a knee-jerk reaction might say, "Oh, this is just fun," but I think we should take these things to heart and say these are criticisms that I myself have and my friends have of like blockchain and crypto is that it's too slow, it's not working well enough. These are areas of improvement. In a way, this is a gift. Like they're telling us what we need to work on in order to help crypto become mainstream. So don't kick this and say, "Oh, it's all BS." Take it and say, this is what I need to work on. If I want to be a maker, these are areas I can work on and I can innovate. I can't find a job in Web3 right now. Oh, I could become my own boss and I could build these things and let me focus on one of these problems and give a black eye to the BS. The final quote here was I found was very telling. They said crypto's growing interconnectedness with traditional finance and the real economy. Remember, they just said there's no real value in the real economy here, and the real economy may also pose a threat to the monetary sovereignty. And so they're recognizing, they're saying the quiet part out loud, recognizing that crypto is a threat to the current world order of monetary sovereignty, which if you're on the orange ticket, you love to hear this. They know. And so there is a reason for the FUD that they're throwing out here. But again, take it as a tell.
It just tells me they already have their playbook drafted. They're again having a toolbox and we're being manipulated. What's going to end up happening? It's going to be regulated. That's a no, it's a given. It's going to be regulated. We do need to have some clarity and guidance that we have confidence in so we can invest those next steps to really impact innovation in the right way. What
Right.
I'm hearing here is that they're afraid, right? I'm
Yeah.
seeing mixed signals all over. The IMF, just the IMF alone, giving such grief to El Salvador when they made Bitcoin legal tender. And
Right.
then now to sit there and say, okay, maybe we were wrong. That's super interesting. The focus like on El Salvador is always about Bitcoin, but what about Web3? How is that impacting? What opportunities might there be there? I definitely am on the orange ticket, but I'm hybrid with also the Ethereum Web3 community in general, the Web3 technologies. Like if it solves a problem,
Right.
has the ability to have widespread adoption, and it's something that people can depend on. There, it's not scamming. Like I'm going to love it. That's innovation. I'm not going to want to hold it back. So the mindset
Right.
of folks that are hard steered towards being, oh, I'm only on one side of the aisle. They're so extreme, like Bitcoin. Then you're discounting innovation from the other side, and that's just not good. So when you talk about orange versus green, the fiat system, I love that idea that it is a system meant for us to come together. Like we're on a
Right.
teeter, just balance it out together. And that's one thing that we need to start doing. Like politically, that needs to happen. People need to start uniting and quit embracing this division that's occurring because this is one world together. It should be about the people. Like
Mhm.
honestly, all about the people. And if people aren't first, you're being tricked, right? Something's
Right.
wrong there. And the message I'm seeing here is they know that people should be first and people are getting more power. Like when you think about like libraries in the past, books
Mhm.
being burned because they're trying to control people and education, that didn't work out so well. And look today, what happened? We proved that having access to education to self-help yourself, you can elevate your ability to be a good market maker, no matter what that be, not market maker just on the valuation side, but to bring goods and services to the table for your community to embrace. That's the power of education. And crypto is another way of it. So this is a bit of a revolution. Sometimes I feel like I'm going to church, JP. Is that it does feel a little bit
I was
like
a minute, as a matter of fact. Let's talk about the funds. You mentioned institutional investing. So
yes.
put out a report, maybe it's K33, put out a report comparing Q1 2022 to Q1 2023. And we've seen venture funding dropping 80%. It's not like the money isn't there. That's just, there's no funding for it. So in Q1 22, we had $13.5 billion were given out to several deals, down to 2.8 billion, not even 3 billion. Look at that. Deal sizes dropped as well by 24%. So in 22, this is for the span of 22, we had just over 2,453 deals. And the projected amount based on where we're at right now, we're projecting 1,876 deals for the year of 23. 24% drop there.
JP, I have a lot of things that I want to build in this space
Mm.
and I'm held back. I don't want to go out and seek venture funding. I don't want to give a
Right,
24% discount on products and services I want to create.
right,
That's holding back innovation again. And here's the real result. I'm wanting to build, I have ideas. I know that I can seek venture capitalists support, but now's not the
right.
right time. I'm going to wait.
Yeah, and you can really see it in this chart and the effects on the market, and you can feel this. We feel this as members in this economy and in Web3. Look at 2017, this big jump in 2018, all that excitement, and then a dearth for 2 years in 2019, and then the pandemic in 2020, and all bulls in. Look at all that money rushing in 2021 and 22, gaining momentum, and boom, just dead in the water in 23. And we're feeling that, aren't we?
Oh, we're feeling it big time. What we have on is a blockchain venture funding chart that's going through the years of 2017 all the way to 2023. And the biggest signals here on the chart is really breaking down the crypto financial services, the investments in infrastructure, the investments in NFT gaming, DeFi, trading, brokerage, Web3, enterprise, data analytics, and information technologies. These are all sectors. It's breaking them down. So much data here, but in the point that's being across is that the ecosystem is suffering. Now, just imagine if we took 2021 and 2022 off the chart here. What we would
Right.
see is a constant growth cycle on upwards trajectory. That's
Yeah,
what we
we
would
would.
end up seeing, right? And
Right.
so I would have to say that it's sad. It really is. And I think there's also a change in the way that we look at venture capitalism, the way that we look at our banks. We have
Mm.
Silicon Valley Bank go down. The cost and effect of that is still to be determined. We know that commercial real estate is next up. The cards are falling. The dominoes effect, the first
Right.
two dominoes already went down. What's to come? Still unknown. That's what I'm expecting here. Like after the summer, is to be more bank news, more of this and that. We're definitely being played in the banking system. Last time I checked, there was over 4,000 banks just in the United States. There's 50 states and over 4,000 banks. That's a lot of banks. And what percentage of them are going to fall to be determined? It's not done
And
yet.
I've seen reports that there are more banks now that are insolvent than there were in 2007, 2008. And they're
Ouch.
just being held up right now. So this is a house of cards that's ready to blow down.
And I think for the folks that were invested in one of these community banks, they're going to see the fall. They're going to see the issues. They're going to wonder what their options are.
That's the other thing we're seeing is that people are not trusting their community banks. And oftentimes those community banks are not able to provide as good a level of service as your large commercial banks, consumer banks, right?
Yeah.
And all the money is going to these, like the top five. And that's also not necessarily good for the whole ecosystem, financial
Wow.
ecosystem.
If I was in the Fed, should I be, wow, that'd be super good. Let's get all the money into the top five so we can convert everything over to this new system. It'd be so much easier for migration.
All right. And then we just put it all into a national CBDC.
Why not?
Yeah.
I think over 90% is already digitized anyways. They're almost there. But
Right.
enough. That's all speculation.
All right.
Uh, what's
Well,
not
we
speculation is this developer report from Electric Capital.
talk
Uh,
about feeling.
Man, it correlates so well towards the venture capital inflow of investments within the space. We have a 22% decline just from 1 year. And this is June to June, 1 year. This is a mid report. It just makes me sick to think of it. But I'm still excited with the fact that when you go broader reach in regards to the timeline, 2 years, it's 25% growth. And then you go back in further, 3 years ago, it's 92%. That is huge when it comes down to momentum over time. And it's still building. Right now, it's being depressed. And again, this is not organic depression. This is coming from factors out of our control, out of VC's control, straight from the Fed, the central banking system, doing tightening policies. That's directly causing the reactions to the investments in the market and what we're seeing today that spills over to to developers. It's sad when you look at it because it's really about the folks that get super excited. I was there, you were there, JP.
Yep.
We get excited about technology. We just want to work in the industry and
Right.
so hard to get your foot in the door. And so now these developers, they're super excited. They jump right in. They start building. They're having the time of their life, and then the hammer gets laid down from the tightening policies, and this is cause and effect. They're literally the victims. They're leaving the industry because they're forgotten. They're no longer needed. They're like, why did I invest my life into this? We already have a problem. We don't have enough programmers to maintain a trustful system in the future. We need humans to know how to code, and developers are super important.
Developers
Yes.
are in competition with AI, and that is what it is. But you'll see out there, people are saying, "Hey, don't bother becoming a developer anymore. It's not worth it." And this kind of advice has been bandied about. I was listening to the self-sovereign individual, 1997. At the end of this, stop me if I said it before. It said, "Hey, don't bother becoming a programmer necessarily because there's the AI tool that writes its own object-oriented programming in Java." That was 1997.
Yeah. In 2000, .com, and you'd be lucky to have a store to go to because everything's going to be online. But
Right.
believe it or not, people still like to go to brick and mortar. It's just now going more towards mom and pops. People don't want to keep on going to the big box stores. They want a more community focused shopping experience. And so it's just a difference, and it's ebb and flows of market conditions, ebb and flows of innovation. But still, the victims here right now is really the developers and
Mhm.
the good projects out in the space. They're suffering, and it's unfair. I feel sad for all of them. But the thing that comes into light that I want to showcase on the mid-year developer report is I have this slide right here that goes over new developers that have left faster in 2023 than in 2022. It's interesting because the chart also goes over past bear and bull markets, and it shows that this is actually typical. So what might first be seen as, oh, this is not so typical. When we look broader scale, we see at a wider view the potentials of the ebb and flows of bull bear markets and crypto specifically, that we do have always a retention issue. And that's the hard part because a lot of places like I worked at the Seller Foundation, and we took pride into getting folks in that haven't been in the space, folks from Web 2 to start building in Web 3. These are really talented folks. They're considered on the checkbox of a newcomer in market, and having them leave, that devastates me. That's wow, such good talent leaving because now they don't believe this is I would love to see this trend. I would
Right.
love for us in the future, JP, to have this chart show something different here because it's not right.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to build up senior engineers and mentors, instructors who are going to be able to carry on those newer developers and really create legacies.
And being meaningful with development efforts, also on the fact that this is
Right.
globalized technology meant to empower us all. But the good news is, even though that newcomers are leaving, we talked about the fact that there's still folks that have experience. And the nice thing is the chart here that I'm showing is a chart that goes over June 2022 and June 2023. And it's talking about emerging developers in the last year are growing and established developers are steady. And that to me is really good news. It sucks that we have 48% of the newcomers ultimately leaving, but the folks that are established combined are ultimately 46%. It's like 44% are emerging developers and additional plus 2% in regards to established developers. That's a net positive in a deep bear market cycle. So I find that really encouraging. There's so much information on this report. Definitely should check out Electric Capital. They keep a pulse check in regards to what's happening in Web3. It's not for profit. It's literally to provide confidence interval in regards to conditions of the market, focus
Right.
for developers building in the space. I have a QR code here, but you can go to Google and just type in Electric Capital mid-year developer report. You will find it too. Super interesting to keep a pulse check on. The fact is, we just need more folks building. And if you're
More building.
looking at this too, maybe you're not a developer, you could be a product leader. That's still a builder. If you're a founder or a CEO, you're a builder too. Let's keep on building and really let's merge in all the stuff from the legacy system that's broken and let's fix it. This is our opportunity to fix the things that have been broken. And I'm talking about stuff that affects me from my childhood to now. I
Right.
certainly am interested in making a change that's going to be better for everybody in the future. And that's what I love about seeing this report, although I'm not so excited about the fact that we still have so many newcomers leaving.
For those who want to have a voice, this is a great industry to be in. You have a higher percentage of a chance of having a voice and having your ideas heard. And the other thing that's really interesting is that there is only 20,000 Web3 developers in the space. Even right now, 21,300. At the peak, it was 27,200. That number feels accurate to me. I remember in the last bull run, we were seeing numbers around like 40,000. And maybe I was running with that number because that's what we had, but it felt like too much. And products like Ethereum claiming that they have 400,000 people who have used their product. That is ridiculous. There's no way we have 500,000 developers in the space. There's no way.
Honestly, JP, I've worked with Electric Capital. If you go on their repo, you'll see I've actually worked with them a couple different times on their data. The thing is that Electric Capital is looking for full-time developers. They are now starting to focus on part-time developers as well. But a lot of the statistics that we're seeing is about full-time developers. And there's some specific parameters that define what a full-time developer is.
Right.
I just want to say that right there is the gotcha point. Like when you're talking about seasoned developers, they're not exactly pushing all their code to GitHub. I don't push my code daily to GitHub. I have so much code. I've shown you a few times projects I'm working on. That code's not published to GitHub. Matter of fact, my GitHub probably looks like I hardly push anything. That's because I have my own little server with my own system. I want to experiment as fast as I can. I just don't, it's not ready to be public, right?
Right.
And the numbers are missing me. And I've been in the industry for many years. And so I'm like confident that with the Electric Capital's reporting that it's not counting me as a full-time dev when I'm constantly experimenting and building in this sector. So
Right.
that's something to note that these numbers are to be interpreted as signals, not necessarily the actual conclusion in regards to how many folks are really building. I think that's, it's so much more than that, that it could be 100,000 people building. How else do we get these numbers? If GitHub, like I feel for folks like Electric Capitals that's trying to do a good thing
Right.
to get confidence in a space about builders. And I
The
love
thing to
seeing
look
their,
for is the trend. Look at the trend line and
yeah,
extrapolate from there. The point is there's still not nearly enough. We don't have nearly enough developers. Even if it is 100,000, that would be great. If it was 500,000, that's still, you've got 20, 27,000 developers at Google alone in one company.
I think they have more than that. On some good news here, Tim Draper I know you've heard about him before. You
Yeah.
have to. You haven't heard about Draper. You must be living in the dark, or you're new to crypto. And I want to welcome you. Tim Draper is quite the interesting character. He's been saying 250,000 for Bitcoin for many years. And he also publicly provides what he thinks the roadmap is for Bitcoin. And largely, he's been right. It's not that he's wrong all the time. The interesting thing right now is that we don't have a $250,000 Bitcoin. He expected to happen by now. He admits that it should have been sooner, but he says with full confidence is still in play. I love this. Some other things that he brought up was reasons why this time is different than before. And I thought this was interesting that he's taken a pulse check on the impact of Lightning Network. And he says Lightning Network is already reaching 5,000 transactions per second. I mean, 1,000 transaction per second. JP, that is great. What a great
Yep.
advancement for throughput for a network that was largely 9 to 13.
Right. So this is awesome.
This is awesome. And then
Lightning is a game changer.
it
Lightning
is a
is a
game
game
changer.
changer for the
Yes.
industry. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's a layer two, though. I just
Yep.
want to be specific.
We
It's a
understand.
layer two. Just
Um,
like all these folks in Bitcoin, they're like, oh, Web3, oh, just Bitcoin only. It's like, you guys notice that you're taking the technology from Web3 and you're applying it to Bitcoin?
Just a
Anyways, now
minute.
they're looking at more point on that is smart contracts, right? Tim Draper even mentioned strong advancements, and it's already happening. There's a lot of networks working on this. I think Flare is one of them, trying to have interoperability with smart contracts. That's a real thing. And it's already happening in Bitcoin. You have NFT. They're calling it ordinals. Why do they have to come up with new namings? Geez, ordinals. Anyways, I know. But this is for the people, right? And it's like, I embrace travel, and you need to have your path. You need to have your family, right? That you're building with. Every time that we invest time and strategy with one another, we become stronger and stronger as family. And so I understand the tribalism, but at some point you have to say, enough is enough. This is for everybody.
You also need your bridge walkers.
That's
And here
true.
we are.
Here we
Community
are.
bridge walkers have arrived.
So store of value is still there. I think we all agree. Bitcoin definitely established itself as a digital gold for the internet age. Transactions have largely migrating on Bitcoin to the Lightning Network. That's no brainer. And centralized currencies are junk. That's what he says. A lot of stuff that we talked about here is, yeah, they are becoming junk. They're not going away. They're just junk
Yeah.
in the perspective of like value store and network operability, what you can
Right.
use for it to power new things that innovate commerce, innovate the way that we look at things like medical records and so forth. You just can't do that in today's currency. And even though they talk about CDBCs, I've seen nothing that says, hey, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we have your patient information and those x-rays attached to your identity.
It's just
They're
more of the
not talking
same.
about. It's just more of the same. And if they
One.
wanted to really take the power of blockchain, that's exactly what they would be doing. We already have a social security number in the United States. There's already a single source of record. We already know what it's like to have a private public key, right? When
Right.
it comes down to managing a crypto wallet, I don't think it would take that much more effort to really set up super good, transparent,
Right.
and ownable services. Like each citizen can own it and not worry about other people taking their
Yeah,
identity.
not only that, we could look at it like social security numbers are a mess in this country, and we all know that. It's just ridiculous. Look at what Estonia does with their IDs. It doesn't matter if you find someone's or if you give someone's ID in Estonia, it doesn't hurt them at all. It's not tied to their credit report. We have an opportunity to reinvent these systems and take what
Yep.
other countries do well and make something that's really great, like amazing.
I'm with Tim. I'm here. I'm optimistic. I think that there's so much bigger. And honestly, when I like zoom out and I think like big picture, I think like 10, 20 years from now, 250K might be peanuts, might be peanuts. Cool thing that's happening recently, Metamask, they updated their user interface. And this is something that I just wanted to showcase to the community right now is the importance to take this period of building, to iterate on your products and services, to refresh them up because we are not done yet, right? We need to continue to build and iterate. And MetaMask, good job to you. I've loved the new placement, the icons. It's more vibrant and refreshed. I also love that they added some of these with the MetaMask. They have new icon statuses. So like when you're having like a pair and you're investing in Ethereum and Chainlink, it'll actually show Ethereum Chainlink at first view when you go to your wallet. Super cool. I can't wait for the day that I open this up and I see a stocks portfolio in here. I see my house deed in here and I see my social security, if there is one, when I'm ready to retire, when my balance might be in that all right there, transparently available to us. But yeah, I'm excited about this refresh. We love talking about crypto. We're here for you folks to leverage the best that crypto has to offer. You can connect with me at Twitter at Brandy Lee 79.
EXYZ.
Dude, JPZ reminds me of the old hip hop song. You know me. That's
Oh, and I know it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Mine's classic. Brandy Lee 79. We are working on our Discord. There's so much more to come. Definitely subscribe. Check us out. We're going to create content. We're just starting here. We're also looking forward to hearing any feedback that you might have. Something sucks, calls it out. You love something, call it out. We're gonna listen to you. Sometimes it might be hard to get a quick response, but nonetheless, do expect that we're going to be viewing every comment that comes through. So we just like to thank you. If you
We should shout out a couple of our friends.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez out there, we love you. Shepard out there, we love you. Thank you for your support, for your feedback. It means a lot.
Thank you. Couple names that definitely gave us some good feedback. We appreciate it. And I hopefully you've seen that we are taking that feedback to heart and iterate on it. Thank you. And we're wishing all of you a great, good crypto morning.
Good crypto morning.